Hey guys, I'm Paige. This is Caleb. He's my husband. I'm assuming anyone who is watching this probably already knows who we are, but just in case, figured we might as well do the little intro. So we have a very big announcement to make. As you can see, Caleb is very excited. But I'm gonna give you a little background before we actually tell you what we're doing. So we've been married for 2.5 years now. Yeah. We've known that we wanted kids for a very long time. Probably way before. Yeah, way before we got married though, huh? Yeah. We've been together for 7 years, since 2013. And if I had to guess, I'd say that we knew that we wanted to have kids for probably since we got together. It's been a while. So once we got married, we started trying, with no success. I had a feeling that something was wrong. Went to the doctor 3 months in, and he was like, "It's way too early to know that you have something wrong, but I'll give you some meds." So did that, didn't work. And then, to make a long story short, we went into all of the medical procedures to try to have a kid. We did IUI, we did IVF, we did the peeing on sticks to figure out when I'm ovulating. We did all of the things, everything that you can think of. God, our hearts have been broken so many times. But so IVF is pretty much the last straw. After IVF, then you get into egg donation type things, surrogacy depending on your medical condition. As far as having a biological child, I think that's really all of the extra options. So we got there, and after the round of IVF, it was so what happens in IVF is you stimulate the absolute hell out of your ovaries to try to make eggs. They take all of the eggs that they can, they inseminate them in a lab, and they have to grow for 5 days to a certain stage, and then you can implant them. And so we didn't even get to the stage where they grow to the embryos. So they give you a report every day or every other day once they're inseminated in the lab. And we got our first report, and they were like, "Okay, doing good, you have 4 of them." Day 3, they were like, "You have 3 of them that are still growing. One of them's growing a little slow." And then day 5, they were like, "We're going to push it one more day. They're all still growing, but you don't have any that are there yet." And then day 6, they were like, "Sorry, none of them made it." And so, that was hard. We had to grieve. It was really rough. We didn't talk to anybody. And then Corona came. So we've been quarantined, literally since, I really think it was since we got that notification. It was probably that next week that the whole coronavirus situation really expanded, and it turned into a quarantine situation. I started to work on the Corona unit. Caleb had to stop working. He was now working from home, but for a while there, we were unsure of what the school system was going to do, and we were just stuck in this place of uncertainty and not knowing where to go from here. And we just kind of had to spend some time together and work. I worked a lot during this, but it kind of forced us to get our heads where we needed to be to kind of not being able to have kids, but kind of come to terms with it. Our doctor originally wanted to just jump right into another cycle. And at first we were both just kind of yeah, that's what we have to do. We want to have a kid. That's the end all be all. We're going to do another one. It's going to work. And then as time went on, we just kind of, I know that coronavirus is a terrible thing, but for our situation, it was almost like God was forcing us to chill out, and to not just jump into the next best thing, because that's what we were gonna do, because that's who we are. And so we kind of just had to like figure things out, spend time together, talk through things, and just like be happy with ourselves again. So I'm gonna hand it off to him, because his realization of our fun little announcement came before mine. So it's on you, babe.
It gives it away.
Well, yeah, you'll be telling the announcement.
Okay.
Or do you want me to tell them? All right.
All right. So I was watching Duck Dynasty reruns on the YouTube.
His favorite thing to do.
One of my favorite things is just to watch old videos on YouTube for some reason. So I was watching Duck Dynasty episodes just to kind of pass the time, and I went to the other room to start working on something else, just to kind of again pass the day, because I'm working from home.
He hates it.
I do.
He hates it.
And their podcast came on with Phil, Al, and Jace, the Unashamed podcast came on, and it happened to be the episode where they got the younger brother, Jeff, involved, who shared a little bit of his story about how they came and adopted their son, and about how he is now involved in an organization to help in all phases of fostering and adopting, all of that kind of stuff. And being stuck at home, all I can do is really sit here with my thoughts, because I got nobody to talk to, because she's always at work. So it's just me and the dogs, and they don't really help out with problems.
Not a good conversationalist.
No. So it's just me and my thoughts, and I'm sitting here thinking about what the next step is. Is it IVF? Should we put ourselves through that? Should we put her through that? Or should we look into maybe adopting? And then all of a sudden, it kind of popped up really randomly. That it was just a random episode that popped up. So it was kind of like, oh well, maybe we should kind of look into this a little more seriously. So yeah, we kind of started looking into it.
During this like week or so, where he's kind of looking into it at home, I would say about a week. About a week. I was working a lot that week, and I didn't know. He didn't tell me anything at this point. He just kind of like started looking into things. I think the week before, I like made a joke about, not necessarily a joke about adopting, but like kind of said that, oh yeah, one day we'll like have adopted babies or something crazy like that. But like nothing was serious. I've never genuinely thought about adoption before. But during this week or so, it's kind of been like on my heart. And so he's at home looking things up and watching his, Robertson podcast. And I'm at work, kind of looking things up here and there, like on my phone, just when I have free time. And he had no idea. I didn't tell him. I had no idea. He didn't tell me at this point. And so the other day we went and we were just driving around because it's quarantine and there's not a whole lot to do. So we have this thing where we like to drive around and look at land and look at houses and just dream. And we were driving around just talking, and I don't remember how it came up. But it did. We were driving in Delacroix. We were going down to the end of the world. And it came up somehow. And so he told me about like his little revelation, and I told him that I've actually been looking it up as well. And it just kind of like hit us, like this is real. And so obviously the big announcement is that we are adopting. We are still very early on in the stages, like very early on. While making this, we have not even submitted our application yet. We just submitted the pre-application and have talked to our future adoption advisor today. Our parents don't know yet. Nobody really knows yet. We're super excited though, and the more that time goes on, the more we know, the more things happen that are just like, this is it, this is right. After we talked about it in the truck when we were down in Delacroix, I kind of told Caleb, because he was like 100%. He was like, I'm in. We kind of like looked at the agency that the Robertsons have used, because I told him if we use an agency, I want to use a faith-based agency. So we're looking into that, kind of just getting a few ducks in a row, because our ducks will never all be in a row. And so he's like, I'm 100% in. Are you ready for this? And I was like, I need a little bit of time. Not that I'm hesitant, but I just want to make sure that, like, this is God's plan for us. So I'm like, just give me a little time. I need to pray about it. I need a sign. Like, you got all your signs. And so we're like, okay. And I think it was that night, huh? That my dad, of all people, he has no idea at this point that he had anything to do with this, but he sent us a Facebook video, which he does sometimes. I never actually watch them, but I watched this one, and it was Phil Robertson.
Phil Robertson.
And he was just talking about, like, coronavirus and being quarantined and how you look at situations, and that you need to look at the positives, and just there's not a whole lot you can do about coronavirus. You just need to trust God, like, stuff like that. And so I was like, wow. Caleb was like, I'm in. That's it. That's all the confirmation. Like, he's had confirmation after confirmation after confirmation.
All from the Robertson family.
The Robertson family. So he's ready. And so I'm like, okay, just give me a little time. So I had work the next morning. I went every day on my drive to work. I always just put my worship music on and pray. And so I'm like in there and I'm like, look, God, like, this is a very, very big thing. I need, like, a very, very big sign. I need obvious. I need, like, a slap in the face, because I can't do the, like, very subtle signs. I'm not a subtle person, as everyone knows. Anyone who knows me. So, my older sister, Candace, texted me that day, and she's like, hey, you home? And I'm like, no, I'm at work. And she says, I have a present for you. So I'm like, that's weird. Caleb texted me, and he, like, sent me a picture of, like, the bag. It was like, somebody has a present. And I was like, this is so weird. Like, Candace usually does, like, Candace is not, like, a sentimental person. She's, like, super chill all the time. So I was like, a gift from Candace? This is so, like, unusual. Shout out to Candace for also having a big place in this. She also has no idea. So I get home from work, and I go and I open the present, because I'm like, this is all I've been thinking about all day, like, adoption and presents. That's because who doesn't love presents? So I get home and I open it, and it is actually the shirt that I'm wearing, along with, okay, where is it? Go get it. Along with this picture frame, and it has, like, a quote in it, which it was this. So I guess I can just read it. But so I read the title, and it's from a lady who's, like, an author of, like, some IVF mom thing. And so I was like, maybe this is my sign, like, not to. Like, the fact that it just is, like, an IVF thing. But I'm like, okay, let me read it. And so it says just that, like, infertility is challenging, but, like, many obstacles in life, you can search for the good and find what you were supposed to learn from the situation you were in. I like to think that I was going to experience it anyway. I didn't have that choice, but I did have the choice about how positive I was going to be and how I chose to handle it. It says I could be miserable or I could be happy. I held on to little sources of strength, encouraging words from a friend, a necklace that reminded me to be bold, blah, blah, blah. Like, the rest of it is just, like, being strong and stuff like that. But it says, I like to think that I was going to experience it anyway. I didn't have that choice, but I did have the choice about how positive I was going to be and how I chose to handle it. And I read this, and I put it down, and I looked at Caleb, and I was like, this is it. We're adopting. And so we're adopting. This is crazy, huh? Yeah. We're going to try to do the international adoption. We found an agency called All God's Children. It's the same agency that
the Robertsons
the
are involved
Robertsons
with.
are involved with. And we even looked at other agencies because I was like, I mean, yeah, like God used the Robertsons to show him what he needed to show him, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to use that agency. So we looked at other agencies, and I don't know, like none of them felt right to me.
Yeah.
We looked at them, even the ones that were like they looked really legit, they looked really great, but I didn't get the same peace like looking at their agency as I did when I was on the All God's Children website. We watched a lot of videos. We've done a lot of research. It's going to be a crazy journey. It's going to be a long journey. Probably longer than we both thought.
Yeah.
But it's going to be so worth it nonetheless. And so we're super excited. We hope that you are excited too. I don't know if anyone that isn't very close to us is going to watch any of these. But we wanted to make this little vlog just to kind of, this will be like our journal, I guess, because there are plenty of stages in this. It is a very long, very insane process. And so we wanted to be able to like have something, we basically wanted to have a journal, but I hate writing. And I don't think he likes writing either. So we're going to do this, even though he'd probably rather write than video himself. I talked him into it. He's really a great little trooper here. So yeah, is that everything?
I think so.
We're super excited. What was it that you wanted me to say? Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe. We're the Lamberts, and we're coming at you. And we're going to have a baby. Or toddler. Maybe a 9-year-old. We don't know, but we will love it. Bye, guys.